Thank you for joining me on this special video broadcast. My name is Oladipupo Clemens. On this video, I want to talk to you about too smart to marry. Okay, why you may not be married, especially for those who are already of marriageable age, you are a working class individual, man or woman, and that's societal pressure. There's also that family pressure. There's also that peer pressure that forces people to make wrong decisions. But now the goal of this is not to give you the parameters for choosing a life partner. It's just to give you a little understanding of what marriage really entails. I've been married for 15 years plus right now, and I can tell you for free that it takes two foolish people to get married and remain married. I'll repeat that again. I know this is controversial, but I want you to give me your listening attention for a few minutes, okay? It takes two foolish people to get married and even stay married. If they are too smart, they may not even get married in first instance. And if they ever get married, they may never stay married if they decide to be smart, okay? And this is so important. A few weeks back, I was having a conversation with a very dear friend of mine who is not married yet. And I made that statement, this same statement. And he said to me, you need to go deeper on this thing you just said. He said, because for a lot of us, that's exactly the reason we don't get married. You see, marriage is not for two perfect people. It's actually for two imperfect people, right? There is no such thing as Mr. Right or Miss Right anywhere in the world, all right? I am not saying you should compromise on values. No, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying you should compromise on standards. I'm just saying that if you want to ever get married, you have to compromise on certain things. Right? You have to learn to ignore some things. You will experience a lot of shocks. You will encounter things you probably never envisaged and never imagined. Unfortunately, a lot of us have been primed and programmed, with meals and bones, with all those love stories, and then you live in a fantasy world, not a reality.com. Right? So when many of us get into the marriage, we get a lot of surprises that does not relate to what you have read in some of those romantic novels. Now, the key point is this. I'm sharing this so that if you are unmarried, you are of marriageable age, you are mature, you have sources of income, you even take responsibility for a lot of people, you already making impact. I'm not talking of someone that still needs to be spoon-fed, still needs to be directed. You provide leadership already in different capacity. You are also not perfect. You must recognize that. And because you are not perfect, you will never find a perfect person. And listen to me carefully. There is no perfect marriage here on this planet Earth. Quote me anywhere. There is no such thing as perfect marriage anywhere, all right? There are only strong marriages. That's what you most likely will find, who have learned to work with each other, who have learned to cooperate with each other and make up for each other person's weakness and inadequacies in their marriages, okay? And this is so important. I just felt this is not my area of competence, but having been married for 15 years, it's still a young period in marriage, but having been married for 15 years, I think I've got something to share with those who are already old enough to get married. Now, marriage is essentially not about age. It's about maturity. It's about taking and accepting responsibility, okay? That's essentially what marriage is about. And until you are prepared to accept responsibility, and you are not prepared for marriage, regardless of your age, all right? Whether you are male or female. All right. So what ultimately transforms you from a boy to a man is actually acceptance of responsibility. So you can be 22 and responsible and be 45 and irresponsible. So it's a question of accepting responsibility, accepting and taking full responsibility. All right. So that's critical. I just felt like you put this out. For those of us who are thinking that, you want to cross the T's and you want to dot the I's before you settle down, you will wait for long. I tell you the truth. Let the non-negotiables be laid down, be established, and then take over and leave the rest to adjustments. Marriage is something that you have to learn to be fluid, you have to learn to be flexible, and you have to make sacrifices, right? It is not about right or wrong any longer. When you eventually get into marriage, you realize that, if you really want peace of mind, you would need a lot of compromise. Many of the things you will never accept, you would have to accept when you eventually get married. And it's a commitment to be together forever. It's together forever, right? Your spouse will do things that will upset you. Your spouse will do things that will get you crazy. And that's sometimes the reason a lot of people don't want to make commitments, all right? And some other times, people also are afraid of the stereotype of divorce. That's essentially what some people just choose to just remain who they are. Again, if you are self-centered, selfish, then marriage is not for you. I can tell you that up front. Marriage is the institution where you will make all the money, but other people will be the one enjoying the money. Okay, so you have to be prepared for that. Okay, but essentially you can't afford to keep looking for perfect person before you settle down in marriage. You're going to ask anybody who has been married for longer than 15 years perhaps, and then they will tell you it's not for two smart people, it's actually for two foolish people. So could it be that you are too smart to marry, or could it be that you are too selfish to marry? Answer that question and you'll know the reason you're not yet married. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.